Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to work more with, we're going to dive more into algebras we've been working on. I hope you all had a nice, relaxing Memorial Day weekend. Were able to see your family, eat some good food, get some sun. Okay? So we do only have a few more weeks left, so I just want you guys to keep that in mind. I know it's easy to kind of start thinking about summer and taking it easy on school. I want you to really avoid that. Everything we're doing, we need to be we need to know we need to be ready for next year. We'll we'll review it again once we're back in the classroom, but it's going to be a lot easier if you're doing the work now. It's just going to make your life easier going forward. Finish strong, just like you do in sports, right? End of a game. That's not when you take it easy. That's when you give everything you have left. Otherwise, even if you're winning by a lot, the other team could come back. Right? If you guys anybody watched the Super Bowl a few years ago, you might remember Patriots and the Falcons. Falcons had a huge lead in the fourth quarter. They started making mistakes. They started taking it easy. They thought they won. If you think about it, they thought they had an A plus. If you're thinking about school, and then they took it easy, and the Patriots came back and won. So finish strong here, even if you have a good grade. Just you don't want to do anything to mess that up at this point. And if your grade's lower than you want, well, this is a chance to maybe get your grade up a little bit more before the end of the year. If you haven't done the test or anything like that, please just reach out to me on Class Dojo. That's all I'm really going to say because I've been talking about it for a while. At this point, if you haven't done it, then I'm very concerned for you because you're not staying involved with the class. So if you're not sure, if you're feeling behind, please reach out to me so I can help you. But let's get started on the assignment. I did make this video. I wasn't planning on making this video, but I did see people are struggling, so I do want to cover some of these questions. So this is very similar to last week's IXL, where we were working with expressions. The only difference this week is now we're working with equations. So last week you saw something like 2 plus x. We said this was an expression. We said this was an expression, right? Whereas an equation might be 2 plus x is equal to 3. This would be an example of an equation. Only difference is now we have that equal sign. And we have 2 plus x is equal to 3. So last week we said, okay, we didn't know what x was. So we wrote an expression where if we knew what x was, we could find an answer for something. Well, with the equations, we actually know what the expression is equal to. So in this case, there is actually an answer for x, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's just set up an equation. Let me talk about it now. So from here last week, there was really nothing we could do unless they told us what x was. Well, for this equation here, there is actually only one number x can be. And if you look at that, you might already know the answer. Right? Think about 2 plus what number is equal to 3? Well, 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. So that's the difference with an equation versus an expression. Right up here, we could find it if x was 1, then we know it would be equal to 3. But if x was 2, it'd be equal to something else. So that's kind of the difference between expressions, like up here, versus equations. And if you look at this equation down here, there's going to be a little trick that we're not going to work on today, but maybe next week, where you can subtract this 2 away from both sides, because if you do something to one side, for it to stay equal, you have to do it to the other. You can do 2 minus 2, we know is 0. So these go away. It just leaves us with x is equal to 3 minus 2, or 1. So this is called a one-step equation here. This is something we will cover, but not today. Just I want you to kind of keep it in the back of your mind, because that's the difference with equations here. Part of the difference. So let's go back to this question. 213 is 6 minus y. So this is a different, so we're kind of moving past that. In fact, let me erase it. So let's see, we have 213 is 6 minus y. Let's do 6 minus y. We have this word is. We have 213. Alright, so we have 213. Should I write that over here? 213 is. So if something is, it's another word really for equal or the same. Whatever 213 is, it's the same exact thing as whatever 6 minus y is. So we're saying is, we'll put that in blue, is our equal sign. And we said, so 213 is the same thing as 6 minus whatever this number y is. And it might not be as clear to you what the answer is here. This would actually be a case where y is negative, which is something we haven't really worked with. So that last example I showed you, if you're thinking about it, you might be a little confused. It's because it's something we haven't covered yet. Something we'll cover in 6th grade or 7th grade. But it's okay, you won't need to know it for this IXL. Just this would be your final answer here. So 213 is equal to 6 minus y. All right, let's look at this one. I was looking at one of these questions earlier. I don't like how they're worded, but we'll have to figure out. We're gonna have to solve it regardless. Because there's gonna be times in your life when you're taking big tests, and the questions aren't always gonna be worded great, or maybe they're worded fine and it just doesn't really click with you. You know, that can happen. But let's break this one piece by piece. So 272. So this number is the same as. So far, starting it's equal, or pretty easy, because 272 is the same as 233 more than a. Now, 233 more than a, well, we have some number a here. 233 more than it, well, just add 233 to it. And then that's our expression, or our equation. 272 is equal to 233 plus a. Alright, let's take a look at this one. 313 is, so we know is kind of working like an equal sign. 252 increased by p. Alright, so we have 313, we know that's equal to 252 increased by p. So we have some number 252, it's increasing by another number p. We don't know what p is, so we just say, well, we're adding whatever number p is if we did know it. And then this would be your final answer. 313 is equal to 252 plus p. So that's what would go here. And then again, you can actually take this a step further and figure out what p would actually be here. You don't have to do this yet, but we will. So 313 minus 252, let's see. that should be 61 is equal to P. Alright, so we said 313 is or equal to 252. Increased, remember increased means it's getting bigger, decreased is smaller. So increased, we're adding P. Alright, I'm skip ahead a little, just to keep the video from getting too long. Let's look at one like this. So we have 252, or 295, sorry, is equal to 129 multiplied by n. So this is just really the same as the others. We have 295 is equal to 129 multiplied by n. So we just do 129 times n. And then remember last week I was saying that instead of when we're multiplying a number by a variable, we can really just write that as 129n. Just like that. Alright, so again, all of these are very similar. You just need to know the vocabulary and think about it. The product of n and 151. Remember, product, the multiplication word. So the product of n and 151, n times 151 is equal to 272. Or you could put it in the proper way, would be like this. I think that should work, but let's see. That is the proper way to do it, but we'll see if IXL. Yeah, so that'll work with IXL too. And that's the way I want you guys to get used to it. So 231 plus k is 114. So this one's, let's see, 231 plus k is, or in other words, equal to 114. See, for this one you can just read it off. A lot of these you can just read off in order, but you do need to be careful. Let's see. Okay. Write this sentence as an equation. 85 is the quotient of 12 in A. So we have 85 here is, then we have the quotient of 12 in A. So remember, quotient, this is a division word. So need to memorize that. So 85 is the quotient of 12 in A. So that means this number 85 is the same thing or equal to the quotient of 12 in A. We said quotient's division, so you just divide in order. 12 divided by A. So this is really 12 divided by A. Now in algebra, we don't use division signs. We're getting away from those. We write division as fractions, and to do that, you can use a little slash sign. So this is really 85 is equal to 12 divided by A. Or another way, this would be the same thing, but more properly, this would look like this. These mean the same thing. Okay, so that slash, you can use that as this division sign or what you use in fractions. That bar. Okay. Alright, so I think at this point, I think I covered most of the type of problems you'll see. I think you guys should be all set for it. Just take your time. Think about what goes on each side. What's equal to what? Think about your vocabulary. What do these words mean? And if you're not comfortable with the vocabulary here, I suggest making some flashcards, something like that that'll help you remember. If you need help with that, you can always message me. I'll give you some tips, but this vocabulary, you need to know it. So we've talked about a lot of this vocabulary all year, actually. So at this point, really need to make sure you're learning it. But that's all I have for you guys today. Keep up the great work. Remember, let's finish strong here. Please take care.